The number one thing that ends relationships is probably something that you've never heard of, and it's not love. So there is a term called perceived partner responsiveness in psychology. And this has been really well studied, and this is at the crux of most failed relationships. So the interesting thing about perceived partner responsiveness is that it has the word perceived in it. And when we talk about perceived in psychology, it means that the person who is perceiving the kind of actions of the other person can perceive them in a very individualized way. What that means is that if I bake you some cookies, one person might think, oh my goodness, that is so kind. She is so supportive. Another person might think, well, whatever, she just likes baking. Like, that means nothing, which I do like baking, so maybe it did mean nothing. But what's happening here is that we have different ways of perceiving partner responsiveness. That's the first problem. The second problem is some people cannot perceive partner responsiveness. So partner responsiveness basically means how supportive my partner is, and is my partner supporting and loving me right now? And so the first issue is that we do this in different ways. You might have heard of things like love languages, which are not necessarily scientifically valid, but they are a thing. We perceive love in different ways. So I might express my love by baking you cookies, and you might express love in a completely different way. And so our perceived partner responsiveness styles are mismatched. Therefore, we can go through our entire relationship not feeling like the other person cares or loves us. Second problem is that some people have very low perceived partner responsiveness. Usually, individuals like this have sort of like maybe traumatic childhoods, some attachment issues, but that's not necessarily the case. So you've probably encountered individuals like this, maybe partners like this, that you will do all of the things, they still cannot feel loved and cared for, no matter what you do. And so individuals like this will often struggle in relationships because they will feel like their partner doesn't love them, while their partner will feel like they can't win, like they cannot win. And so those relationships are often doomed to failure because it's not very sustainable for one person to not feel loved and always sort of be asking for more or be complaining, while the other person feels like, oh my gosh, I cannot win. I keep doing all this stuff and it's never enough. And so this is at the crux of many relationships that are struggling. It is perceived partner responsiveness. So how to solve this? First, if you have a mismatch in styles, this is really important to understand and communicate. And what you think your partner perceives as love is probably not what they perceive as love. And so this is very important to set up in the beginning of the relationship. What do you actually think is love? And it's very important to communicate it throughout the relationship because guess what? Partners change. There's actually evidence showcasing that we are worse at understanding our partners than we are strangers after several years of being together because we form an idea in their mind of them in our minds and they change, but we still keep the original kind of conceptualization of them. So that's the first issue. Agree with what actually each individual perceives as partner responsiveness. Second issue is if you're an individual who can't perceive partner responsiveness, and this could be you, like you could be someone that always feels like, and the internal experience of this is, I always feel like people don't get me, they don't love me, they don't care for me. I feel like people always abandon me. Like I feel like I can never rely on anyone. Those are kind of the internal experiences of someone that has low perceived partner responsiveness. So this is typically in the hands of the individual with the low perceived partner responsiveness, and typically this needs some type of therapy. So when you can't see people giving you support, and this actually also applies to workplace settings and to friends and to other relationships. This isn't just romantic relationships. But if you can't see the points of support and love that people are giving you, that is typically indicative of some attachment dysfunction, some trauma, and it's not that abnormal. So you don't have to feel like you're like some kind of unusual individual. It's actually really, really normal to have this, but it does need to be addressed with some type of healing modality. So if you struggle in relationships, if you're currently struggling in relationships, if you've struggled in the past, this is why. So send this to somebody that you think could benefit from this, because this could save a lot of relationships.